Right, back live with you tonight on In Focus. Economists have raised concerns that South Africa's stance on the Russia-Ukraine conflict could have devastating consequences for the country's economy. It comes after the United States ambassador to South Africa accused Pretoria of supplying arms to Russia when a vessel docked in Simonstown back in December. Business Maverick editor Tim Cohen joins us now for more perspective on this. Tim, good to have you, and thank you very much for your time. There have been a number of theories advanced, particularly around what could happen with South Africa and its relationship, for example, with the United States, based on its stance on Russia. And one of the issues is AGOA. And if AGOA was gone, how big of an impact would that be?
Hi, yeah, thanks very much. I think it would have a very big impact. I'm sure that the Americans, neither the Americans and the South Africans want to go that far. That would be a really kind of dramatic step. But, it is something worth, sort of considering. We have a trade surplus with the America, and the reason is almost entirely because of the tariff-free dispensation that the Americans give us at the moment, and that is a dispensation that applies to the entire continent, and it has been, in existence for well over a decade now. So obviously, this would be terrible if we lost it.
Yeah, but if we look now, even with AGOA in place, just the mere idea of the war is already beginning to impact on us in terms of some of the key commodities, for example, like oil, in terms of some of the other issues that we are seeing that are impacting on our soaring prices, the price of maize and so on and so forth. So either way, we are impacted by this. And why would a more hostile posture towards Russia give us any kind of a different result?
Yeah, I know. I find this whole the position of the South African government very curious. It's very difficult to justify and I think also people talk about this as though it's something that's going to happen in the future, possibly some sort of maybe sort of situation. But in fact, I think that the financial effect is happening right now on two different fronts. The first is you can see that the rand has really fallen to a record low. It's extremely low. So obviously one of the causes of that is the load shedding that we've been having. But if you look carefully at the timing, the big effect of the rand's decline actually happened prior to it coincided with with the revelations about the ship that was being loaded with arms allegedly. So there's that issue, which is and if a decline in the rand is it's really at an extreme point now. It's around about 25%, something like that, undervalued by historical measures. So that's a lot. And that increases inflation. So the effect, the economic effect, is visible right now.
Yeah, and the other theory is that actually South Africa could benefit from the Russia relationship in the sense that Russia could provide South Africa with the refined oil at a much more competitive price than we are currently getting.
I don't think that's correct. It is true that Russia has oil, but we think of oil as oil, but it's very different. And your refineries have to be set up in order to it depends very much on the kind of oil and the waxiness of the oil. All of those sorts of things are big factors. We haven't seen any evidence of South Africa buying Russian oil. So there must be a reason for that, and I suspect that it's that the particular Russian oil. First of all, they have other customers, and we are fully supplied with oil, so it's not as though we're desperate for supply. But I suppose it's conceivable, but I think it's unlikely.
Top 5 producer in terms of commodities like steel, nickel, and aluminium. How would that reduction in shipment significantly impact on South Africa?
Well, our trade with Russia at the moment is minuscule. I mean, absolutely minuscule. The investment from Russia is minuscule. Our biggest trading partners now are the European Union and China, it's our exports to speaking off the top of my head here, but it's less than a percentage point of our total exports and imports sort of come from Russia. So from a trade point of view, there's very little upside that I can see, and there's an enormous downside, the potential. Obviously China is an ally of Russia's, or there is a relationship there of some sort. So we can hope for sort of better a better relationships with China in the whole process. I think the thing is that we need to take the idea of neutrality seriously. And not have a kind of pretend neutrality. Otherwise, we're putting all of our other trade and investment at risk.
Yeah, I think the IMF in its projection of our GDP growth for 2023-2024 slightly a little bit more optimistic than our own Reserve Bank. I think the Reserve Bank is putting us at 0.2% or something to that nature. What does that mean? To somebody who would say, well, that's a number. What does that mean in real terms, in terms of, one, a recovery from COVID-19, but in terms of our investment in infrastructure, which we are hoping will actually create jobs, grow the economy, and so on and so forth, when we are saying we'll grow by 0.2%?
I mean, broadly speaking, it's bad, right? A growth of 0.2% is, minuscule. So, it means that the ship is still floating, but we're not adding jobs, and we have an unemployment rate of, over 25%. So we're not solving any of our problems with a growth rate like that. We're also underperforming and have been underperforming now for almost a decade. The international average. We're underperforming Africa by miles. We're underperforming Asia, by even more. We need the economy to grow at 5%, which is, I think what our potential is, for us to really make a dent on unemployment and to improve the life of everybody. This makes a big difference. If you're these numbers look very small, so sort of 2% growth compared to a 3% growth doesn't sound like much. Trust me, it's enormous because the numbers here are very large.
Tim, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for coming on. That's Tim Cohen, editor of business at the Maverick. Right.